Good day again, and welcome to another video. All right, so in the last video we began talking about building plans, and we did speak on that extensively because it's something that requires your understanding before we can proceed. All right, if you don't understand it, it's going to cause some necessary kind of limitations and stuff like that. All right, so the main reason we did that is so that in this video I can just go ahead and break down some procedures. All right, so we're going to be modeling these buildings. All right, so I think at this point of all right, so I'm relatively new to the YouTube space in terms of trainings and all that. So of course, I'll be improving my procedures and processes and techniques as I go. But one of the things I noticed is that some of the elements I used in my video, I haven't uploaded them to a drive. So I'll be making sure to do that this week by the grace of Him that strengthens. So I will do that and update the description for each of the videos I used, contents like that. All right, so what I will do is to enable people to download those contents and use it as a reference point as well, or you could just still without that watch the video and replicate. All right, so that being said, all right, so at this point in the training video, you can tell the worth of what you are learning and how rich and robust what you're learning is. All right, so as much as possible, I'm free in this training. I'm not trying to sound like one high-minded dude, right? So I just want you to feel comfortable and understand what we're doing. All right, so but that being said, so far, if you have learned a thing or two, if you have gotten to this point from the beginning of the course, I mean, you find this course valuable, please do ensure that you like all the videos as you proceed, and you do comment if there is a need, you have a question, maybe you're not following the closed training and you have a question you want to ask. Feel free to ask that on the comment section, and once I see the comment, I will get back to you. And also, if you are following us, please, and you haven't subscribed, please, it won't kill you to subscribe, All right, also, anyone that wants to learn what you're learning, you could share the link to people, all right, to help grow the YouTube channel and stuff like that. All right, so the success of every YouTube channel is based on the subscribers and the viewers. All right, so yeah, it's like a two-way thing. I have my part to play and you have a part to play. All right, so with that being said, thank you so much. Let's get down to the work now. All right, so continuing where we stopped, I spoke saying that we're going to go into looking at how to model the building, or how we'll go about that. All right, so I just made a little bit a quick tick outs. All right, so nothing too complex, it's just a model we're talking about here, and we're not really talking about to totally visualize, right? So but it's just the modeling part. Modeling is the emphasis for this video, or this series of videos, right? The idea of going so details to model things and get objects ready is so that you become proficient. All right, see, before you begin to use tools like extension 3D warehouse extensively, before you begin to use that, learn to do things yourself. This is what we do in programming as well. All right, so I'm also a programmer, so when we are learning programming, you don't use boilerplate codes all the time. You shouldn't start from a boilerplate code, you should start from scratch. All right, most of the times when you start from scratch, it makes it easy for you to break things down and to implement. Most persons don't even remember the boiler code for HTML and all those other things in JavaScript or even React and all those basic setups. Most people don't really understand those things because they didn't really start the whole thing from scratch. They kind of like jumped into a template project and they began to. Now, if you really want to understand React, you need to understand you need to understand JavaScript to a good depth. All right, so but what am I trying to point out? When you don't understand the nitty-gritty of things and you don't know how to do it, it's not just understanding it, do it. And maybe, for example, you want to write a calculator in code, settle down, write everything from scratch. Don't download any templates, don't do anything, right? Don't use any library or framework, do everything manually. Then when you now start using frameworks and stuff like that, you find out that okay, you understand better how things work, and frameworks will be easy to navigate. Right? We're not talking about programming here, but I'm just trying to use that as an illustration, right? So when you don't model things yourself, you find out that when you start downloading things, one of the issues you have is when a model you download is not on par with what you want. What if you can't even find what you need online? Then you have to model it, and if you don't know how to do that, that'll be a problem, all right? So this is why we go into the details of trying to understand everything we are doing, so that when we want to venture into doing it by ourselves, say for example the TV that you are seeing is not something you like, or maybe the chair that you are seeing you don't like it, or the bed you're seeing you don't like it, the wardrobe you're seeing is not really something that is appealing, you could just go ahead and model it. There is nothing, you won't die doing that. All right, it's only when you are pressed for time and you have the funds, you can go ahead and download models, download assets, pay for optimized models and stuff like that. So but we're going to go through the manual process of doing all those things. Then at the end of the training, we'll still go through the process where you use those things. All right, so when you start using them, as opposed to also knowing how to do it, it's very important. uh no professional goes into using professional tools without learning how to use them. Use these bare tools, all right? You have to learn how to use the bare tools before you begin, because it will spoil you and you might not even value some, might not really appreciate why you need to pay for some things. Honestly speaking, there are plugins that I already made my up my mind that I'm gonna pay for, like the Bevel plugin, the Frido push pull tool, push joint push pull, and some other plugins. I will have to pay for them. Profile builder as well. I must pay for those things. I have to pay for it because it makes my work easy. I know how much time those extensions will save me. So when I now pay for, when I want to pay for it, I know that it's worth it. All right, they didn't tell me to pay for it for no reason. I mean, if they never made it, I wouldn't have known and I would have labored. All right, like the profile builder, that could save you. If in a project you spend so much time doing something, all right, let's say for example, there are some things you could do in a project that could take you a total of like 5 hours. With that tool could save you that 5 hours work in like 30 minutes or 1 hour. That's like 4 hours paying back. And that's just for how much you paid, how much. I haven't even checked the price for okay, the profile builder is like $120 thereabout for a professional this thing. You could have it 30 days. You might not necessarily know what that is, but when it's from the last extension video I did explain what it did. I did list some extensions, and probably that was the last item, but I didn't download that because I don't want to start my this thing. So, but that video was not for the video wasn't for showing you how to use extensions, just showing you how to install extensions, and we did succeed in explaining and installing those. All right. So that being said, in this video I'm just going to go through some processes. All right, so okay, so we have analysis of the project. So this is just a basic process. So you need to analyze the project at question at work. You need to identify the various objects and work area, the place things. When you analyze it, you identify places you might need to put work into, and then what exactly does the client want. All right, so for this we don't really have a client need and stuff like that. We just want to replicate this. But for example, the client says you want the water fountain in front of his house. That means you have to take into account that you have to model or download the water fountain. Or let's say the client said I want to sit out in the grass green area. All right, so let's say in this area now they want a little bit of sit out, just a playground where their children can play, stuff like that. Those are things that you might want to take note of, because in visualization you need to be able to make anything, any imagination happen. All right, so when you're done taking note of all those things, what you want, then you can go ahead to begin to model the building. All right, so usually I start by analyzing the site plan if there's any, and then when I analyze the site plan, I recognize all the points, things I need to model, and I recognize the things I need to download from the 3D warehouse, and the things I will need to purchase or use from the modeling and rendering engine I use. Right, I usually use rendering engines. I don't use what they call it. I don't use the other one that we are going to deal with in this. Yeah, so I don't use the V-Ray. So I use Twin Motion or Lumion, right? So That being said, you might not be able to have access to those, maybe because of system performance or cost of acquisition. Yeah. So, but that being said, I those things, they come with their own in application models, right? And it makes the work quicker, faster for me and quick, right? So I'll go ahead to begin to model the building. So that means I'll model the first floor, I'll model the ground floor, the first floor. I make the roof plans. I prepare my holes in the walls. I make my holes for windows and stuff like that. When I'm done with all that basic outlay of things, then I will now go to model the schedule elements. That's the windows, the doors, and then I place any of those things into where I need to place them. Then I acquire objects or model objects. So whatever I need to model, like the wardrobe, is something I will need to model, because getting a proper wardrobe that fits into any place is not something you can easily just get from the 3D warehouse, but you can get wardrobes from there. Practically anything you can get from the 3D warehouse. If I was to come to Windows and I click on, okay, this should be the 3D warehouse, all right? So if I click on that, that's 3D warehouse, where I could download any 3D model that I can download, right? So if I just search for wardrobe, is that wardrobe? What kind of, that is spelling of wardrobe, all right? Yeah, that's the spelling of wardrobe. All right, so you can quickly see the kind of wardrobes that come up, and quickly you notice that some of these things are not really conformed to the size or your design taste. All right, so we have the models, and then we still have catalogs. All right, catalogs are, I think that's like the product of manufacturers out there. Okay, yeah, models and catalogs. So we can see professional products and models. So even I could just model something and upload it to this place, right? So there are many models available. You can scan to find what you want. This is where you find your bed and you find a whole lot of things. So there are many things you won't have to model, all right? And guess what? They're all free, all right? They're all free. So you can see a TV. I'm search for a TV. I could search for a TV, and quickly I can find different sizes of televisions, all right? Even with this 60-inch LED TV. So there are many assets you can find. Look at that TV set. All right. So you could get that dining. I could just look for a dining set. I could look for a dining set, and if I just type dining, you can see beautiful dining sets out there, right? So this 3D warehouse is a lifesaver and a time saver, all right? Most 3D stuff out there gives you conditions of payment and purchasing. But in 3D warehouse, they just have a lot of generous people that sat down and modeled a lot of detailed stuff on the this thing, so that you could just download it and apply it. So these are different dinings you can get. All right. So that being said, there are objects that would download from here, but as much as possible in the course of this video, I will limit the external things we use, because I want you to become proficient in modeling. All right, so that's why I might not so much as use many of the things we see in the 3D warehouse, right? I might just go ahead and find something online and do a model of it and just post it, so that you learn while watching. All right, the more you watch and learn, the more you model, the more you learn. And you notice that there are ways I model. My model always look clean, my model looks decent. How do you ensure that your model looks clean and decent as well? By much practicing and observations. All right. So that being said, that brings me to the end of this particular video. I just wanted you to know that those are that. So when we're done with identifying modeling other objects, then we now take screenshots of the various scenes. All right. So I think at this point, this is where, when we start modeling, I will now start introducing you to scenes and tags. Yeah, we'll start using scenes and tags, because I don't want to just go ahead and bombard you with every tool. We'll start using scenes and tags, so that you see how it can be applied, all right, to ease your work and make your work more smart. Yeah, and when we're taking screenshots, that way we might just introduce some shadows to make it look, beautiful, since we are not yet rendering. All right, so that being said, that brings us to the end of this video. So thank you so much for your time, and please like, share, subscribe, comment. All right. Bye. Thank you so much.